Hello everyone! So the last time I made a French video was quite a while ago, but we did look at present tense conjugations of French verbs ending in ER, which is the most common verb ending you will come across in the French language. But we also know that there are two other verb endings in French, one of them being IR and the other one being RE. And today we're going to be looking at French verbs ending in IR, and we're going to learn how to conjugate them in present tense. And it's really not that complicated. It's not going to take very long to learn. So let's just get right into it. So we have our terminaisons, our verb endings for regular verbs. So let's see what we have. We have je. So anytime we have je, the verb ends with is. And we have tu. The verb also ends with is. We have il, elle, or on. It would be it for the ending. And then we have nous, which ends in issons. We have vous, which is issez. And lastly, we have il and elle, plural, which ends in issent. And remember, when we pronounce this, the e and t are all silent. And of course, as always, we have exceptions. There are irregular verbs. For example, we have avoir, ouvrir, partir, sortir, dormir. There's many more. These are just a few examples. And we're going to learn how to conjugate some of these irregular verbs as well later on. So first, let's get right into an example of a regular verb conjugation. Here we have finir, which means to finish. Let's take a look. So when we have je, it would be je finis, finis. When we have tu, it would be fini again, which is finis again. When we have il, elle, or on, it would be fini, but this is finit. We have the it ending. You have to really make sure that you don't confuse that with the je and tu endings, because that is a very common mistake for French learners. And then we have nous, which is nous finissons, issons. And we have vous, which is finissez, finissez. And lastly, we have il, elle, finissent, finissent. We don't pronounce it as finissant. It would be finis. The e and t are silent. So this is a very basic example. It's very simple. Most of the IR verbs are regular verbs, so this should not be too much of an issue. And yeah, so now let's look at another example of a regular verb. Choisir, to choose. So here we have je choisis. This was chois and then is. So we replace the ir with the is. Tu choisis, again, same thing, the is ending. Il, elle, on ends with it instead of is. Just always make sure to remember that. And then we have nous, issons. Vous, issez. And lastly, il, elle, plural, issent. So yeah, it's very basic. It does not take very long to master. And last but not least, we'll look at an irregular verb. And we're going to see how it is conjugated. So we have partir here, which means to leave. So notice with je, we don't have the is ending. We have je pars, P-A-R-S. We have tu pars, P-A-R-S again. And we have il, elle, on part, P-A-R-T. We have nous partons, P-A-R-T-O-N-S. Vous partez, P-A-R-T-E-Z. Il, elle, part, E-N-T. So notice these are all very similar to the ER verb endings, and that's usually something to keep in mind for most of the irregular verbs that we conjugate with the IR ending. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. It's very basic. It's not as complicated as you would expect just because it's less frequent than, say, the ER verb endings. Once you get it down, it's very easy. Just make sure you don't trip up and make the usual common mistakes like il part with an S or something like that. And always just make sure that you remember some irregular verbs, they just don't sound right with the regular verb endings. Like, for example, partir, if you try to put is at the end of je pars, for example, sorry, it would just be je partis. That doesn't really sound correct. I mean, you can just make your own judgment. But yeah, that's really about it. Thanks for watching.